Hello there again, this is Dan Goldman here, and today I'm going to be looking at this lovely new synth from Korg, the Korg Minilogue, for this latest producer's guide. Now the first thing I want to show you is the Minilogue doing a few classic bass, pad and lead sounds. So first off, I'm going to go to patch 101, which is the first initialized patch in the preset list, which gives us this sound. This defaults to one sawtooth on VCO1. So we're going to make sure velocity is turned off because most old synths, vintage synths, didn't have velocity, so we want to stay nice and authentic. And we're going to go to mono mode. So we're going to set both VCOs to half volume on the mixer. You can really hear that the VCOs here, there's got a nice lively sound to them, not the more kind of static DCO sound, though I do love DCOs as well, as on the Juno 106. Okay, so we've got a mix of half there of the two oscillators. Now we're going to switch VCO1 to a low pitch saw. Just turn off VCO2, you'll hear that there. And then we're going to set VCO2 to a low pitch square. And then we have a half and half mix. Now we can tweak those oscillator shapes to taste. Sounds pretty good. Maybe a little bit too thin. Okay. Now let's add a little bit of detuning. There we go, not too much detuning, just a subtle amount there. Now, using the voice mode depth control over here, we can add some sub oscillator in. Just going to tweak the detuning again. Just flick the octave up there because the overall octave up there, but though because it was sounding a little bit too muddy down below. Right, and the next step, we're going to choose the fastest attack on the amp, a medium decay, low sustain, lowish sustain, and a fast release for a nice snap. And now we're going to set the envelope intensity control for the EG2 here to just over halfway. And we're going to go to the menus now, and we're going to adjust the portamento. There's no control on the front, so you've got to go to edit, make sure you've got program edit selected, then hit the mono button once, gives you portamento time. Let's just set that to 0. I'm actually going to tweak that MPG sustain up a bit more because it's dying away a bit too quick. Okay, so now we've got legato. Of course, if we increase the time there, you can hear the glide or portamento change. But yeah, if you just set it to 0, that gives you a normal legato sort of setting. So when you play staccato, it's clean, but then when you sort of smudge notes together, it plays legato. Very nice indeed. Now, we're going to bring down the filter cutoff. Just turn up the volume a little bit there for you. bring down the filter. We're in 4-pole mode there, just to make sure resonance is down. It's already starting to sound like a nice kind of vintagey bass sound. Okay, next up, we can just go ahead and tweak that sound however we want to. So mess with the filter cutoff. Again, we can, if you want a little bit more bass, you could, the triangle wave has got a nice low end to it. Turn both those up a bit more. Of course, then we can sculpt the filter envelope as well. Add some resonance. And it's about all a balancing act, really. If you increase the EG intensity, then you need to balance that with the filter cutoff control. The intensity gives you more or less of the filter envelope affecting the sound. Let's add a bit more resonance. You've got to be careful with the resonance on the Minilogue because it does eat a bit of the low end, but just a little bit sounds good. Just increase the sustain on the filter there a little bit. These are all just additional bits that might be of some use to you when you're making bass sounds, but there you've got a basic starting point for a vintage style bass. Next up, I'm going to show you how to make a basic pad sound. So let's go back to our initial patch again. And we are going to use 2 saws. In poly mode here, which is the first button, the first voice mode button. And we're going to turn VCO 1 to full, VCO 2 to 3/4. Again, add some richness like we did with the bass. Some detuning, sorry for richness. That gives the sound a bit more movement. Okay, and now we're going to set the EG intensity dial to 3/4 and bring down the filter cutoff to taste. Again, we're in 4-pole mode here. Now we can hear that's not really, it dies away too quickly for a pad sound. So we're going to set the filter attack to around 1/4. Decay to around 3/4 full. Sustain to about halfway. And release to 3/4. And then we're going to go to the amp as well. We're going to have some release on there. Just so it dies away more naturally. And if we want that to fade in more slowly, we can use the amp attack there. Bring down the EG intensity a little bit because we're not getting the filter cut off to filter too low there. You can see that's working a lot better there with the EG intensity down a little bit. Let's sweep the filter. So So that's a really simple starting point for a vintage style pad, just 2 sawtooth waves, bit of detuning and a touch of tweaking on the amp envelopes. Now, one other thing we can do for a little bit more movement is to add in some LFO, and we're just going to select the triangle wave. We're not going to use any envelope mod here. We're going to turn up the intensity. We'll turn down the intensity even where it was last left, because we don't want anything too drastic here. And then we're just going to set the rate. We're going to send the LFO to filter cutoff here. And again, you can balance that with the filter cutoff control. Add more detuning if you want. Or if you prefer, you can use the LFO to center the pitch. Sounds a bit too vibrato like that, so let's turn that down a little bit. And the intensity. Just a subtle amount, just adds a bit of nice movement to the sound. And of course you can add in a bit more resonance if you want. Getting carried away there. And there's your basic pad sound. Now let's move on to a lead sound, a resonant lead sound. Again, we're going to select an initial patch, go to mono mode, with a saw on oscillator 1 and a square on oscillator 2. Again, let's add a little bit of detuning for some movement on oscillator 2. Now let's get these to the same pitch so they're not too wide apart. There we go. Already that's sounding pretty nice. Next up, we're going to select the 4-pole filter again. Set the resonance to around halfway. And the EG intensity to about 3/4. And then we're just going to balance the attack and the decay controls until we get a nice sort of wow sound going on. Now you have to balance the attack control here with the filter cutoff and the EG intensity control. Again, this is just a starting point, but it's just to give you an idea. And if you want the wow sound to be faster, then just decrease the attack time on the filter envelope. You can hear how the amp's re-triggering on every, the envelopes are re-triggering on every key press there. Again, I'm going to go back in to portamento there and just make sure legato mode's on. Kind of sounds like something you'd hear in a Roy Ayers track. And then if you want different tones, you can just mess around with the wave shapes. More hollow sound, you can go for the triangle wave. for a kind of harder sound, the square wave as well. But of course on the Minilogue, all of these wave shapes are variable as well, so you can go in between the different wave shapes, or move the wave shapes to different, morph them into different waves. And then we have a basic resonant lead.